All of this recent trade speculation involving Quinn Hughes really has me in the mood to talk about trades. I know we're still a long ways away from the deadline, but I figured this would be the perfect time for the first NHL Deal or No Deal episode of the 2025-26 season. I didn't make the post asking you guys to submit your mock trades on the community tab until pretty late last night, but you guys still absolutely killed it. Almost 150 mock trades submitted as of the time I'm recording this. Obviously, I can't feature them all in this video, but just know I do read them all and I appreciate all of you guys. And with that all being said, let's go ahead and start this episode off with the first mock trade from Bloke It Insane, who says since Nashville should be selling Ryan O'Reilly to Carolina for Dallas's first in 2025, Felix Ungersorum, Dominic Badinka, and Toronto's sixth in 2025. I really like the idea of Carolina going out and trading for Ryan O'Reilly. The second-line center position has been a weakness for Carolina for a long time now. Logan Stankoven has been playing in that spot for them this season, and he's been really solid, but I definitely think a guy like Ryan O'Reilly would be an upgrade there for them in the short term. For a team that is very much in their contention window right now and are trying to win a Stanley Cup this season, Ryan O'Reilly is the guy that can bring some championship pedigree to that roster. He's a former Conn Smythe Trophy winner, and even though he's 34 years old, he's still a very effective two-way center. He's having a very strong season so far, playing over 19.5 minutes per game on a bad Nashville team. I will say it does feel like Carolina is giving up a lot in this mock trade with the first-round draft pick and Ungersorum and Badinka, who I would say are both top 5 prospects in Carolina's system right now. That being said, though, if you're going to overpay for somebody, I think it makes sense to do it for a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, who fills a direct need for this team and would make the Hurricanes lineup a lot deeper and a lot more versatile. You could move Logan Stankoven down to the third-line center spot and then have Jordan Staal as your shutdown fourth-line center, or you could keep Jordan Staal as the third-line center, have O'Reilly as the 2C and move Stankoven back to the wing where he has played quite a bit throughout his career so far. And on top of that, O'Reilly is not just a rental. He's still signed through next season at a very reasonable cap hit of just $4.5 million. And when it comes to this trade from Nashville's point of view, I do agree with you. They should be selling. I think it's time for Barry Trotz to just nuke that roster. And I would definitely say this would be a really nice haul for them as they look to go in a younger direction. So I really like this mock trade. We're going to go ahead and start off this episode by saying deal here. Moving on now to the next mock trade. This one comes from All Hail Kale 88, who says to Winnipeg, Pavel Mintyukov, to Anaheim, Brad Lambert, and a third-round pick. Both of these players' names have obviously been pretty prominent in the NHL rumor mill recently. After a few healthy scratches early in the season, it was reported by Elliot Friedman that Pavel Mintyukov would like to be traded if he's not going to play. And a few weeks ago, it was reported by Frank Saravalli that the Jets have given Brad Lambert permission to seek out a trade. In the case of Pavel Mintyukov, I definitely think he's expendable for the Ducks, as they already have Lacombe and Zellweger playing in the top 4 over him on the left side, as well as having somebody like Stian Solberg in the system, who is also a left shot defenseman, and I imagine is going to be making a case to crack the Ducks roster at some point in the next year or two. When it comes to Brad Lambert, though, considering the Jets' depth hasn't been good this season, they're an older team, they're a pretty slow team, so I feel like maybe it would be in their best interest to just give Brad Lambert an extended look at the NHL level. He has played in 4 NHL games for them this season, and he scored his first NHL goal, but he hasn't really been put in a position to succeed. In those 4 games, he's only averaging a little over 9 minutes of ice time per game. And in those minutes, at 5-on-5, the player he played the most with was Cole Koepke. But if the Jets are just going to trade him, instead of giving him a legit opportunity, then I think a trade like this makes sense, as the Jets could definitely use an injection of youth on that blue line. Their top 4 is pretty solidified when healthy with Morrissey, DeMello, Sandberg, and Pionk, but Mintyukov would certainly be a big upgrade for them on the bottom pair, as their bottom pairing really hasn't been great this season, no matter what combination of players have been on it. And for the Ducks, you're getting a skilled young forward in Brad Lambert to add to that already very impressive young core that they've built, as well as a third-round draft pick for a guy in Mintyukov, who, like I said, I think is expendable for a team like the Ducks, given how strong they are on the left side, not just right now, but moving forward into the future as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say deal to this mock trade as well. Next up, this mock trade comes from Bryn Messier, who says Boston, Alex Tuch, sign and trade, Buffalo, Mason Lohrei, and a first-round draft pick. I said on the channel recently that I don't really think the Boston Bruins are in a position as to where they should be going out and buying, especially trading away future assets like first-round picks and top prospects for rentals. The only kind of scenario where I think it makes sense for Boston to go out and trade, say, a first-round draft pick is for somebody who can not only just come in and help them right now, but also be a huge piece for them long term. And with this being a sign-in trade, that would be the case here. So I don't hate this idea at all for the Bruins. Alex Tuch is a player that they've been rumored to have interest in the past. He has ties to Boston as he played his collegiate hockey with Boston College. And if the Bruins' goal is to be competitive and contend sooner rather than later, then they need to add some offense. They need to bolster that forward group, as there really just isn't a lot of offensive firepower on that team outside of Geekie and Pasternak. So I honestly think the Bruins would probably make this trade in a heartbeat. That being said, I'm going to have to say no deal here just because I can't see Buffalo making a trade like this. Obviously, trading Tuch is the way to go if he's not going to extend. A team like the Sabres cannot afford to have a player like Alex Tuch leave in free agency, but I just don't think this return would make a whole lot of sense for Buffalo. The upside is definitely there with Mason Lohrei. I think he has all the tools to become a very effective two-way defenseman, but I just can't imagine the Sabres would be all that interested in adding yet another left-shot defenseman to their roster when they already have guys like Dahlin, Power, Byram, and Samuelson, who are all left shots. In my opinion, the Sabres would almost certainly be looking for a forward in any kind of return for Alex Tuch, so that's why I'm going with no deal here. Next up, this mock trade comes from Dan, who says, to Dallas, Steven Stamkos 50% retained, to Nashville, a 2026 conditional second-round pick and a 2027 third-round pick. The 2026 second upgrades to a 2027 first if Dallas wins the Cup. Like I said earlier in the video when talking about the Ryan O'Reilly mock trade, I think it's time for Nashville to nuke that roster, and that includes looking to move a guy like Steven Stamkos. But in this case, I'm actually going to say no deal. I don't think Nashville would do this. Steven Stamkos still has 2 more years left on his deal following this season at a cap hit of $8 million per season. And even though he's having a bad season, in order to get Nashville to retain 50% on him and just eat $4 million of Steven Stamkos cap hit until the summer of 2028, I feel like you would really have to blow them away with an offer, especially considering the fact that Nashville already has quite a bit of dead cap space because of the bio penalties to Matt Duchene and Kyle Turris. And I really don't think a package that doesn't even include a guaranteed first-round draft pick or a decent prospect would blow Nashville away at all, so that's why I'm saying no deal here. Moving on now to the next mock trade. This one comes from Snagging Fish, who says, to Vancouver, Nemec, a 2025 first, Mercer, and a 2026 conditional second that becomes a first if Quinn Hughes scores at a point per game pace this season. And then to New Jersey, obviously Quinn Hughes. We talked a bit about something like this in yesterday's video when talking about the whole Quinn Hughes situation. If you haven't seen that video yet, be sure to go and check it out. It's the most recent video on the channel before this one. And I said in that video, even though there have been a couple of teams that have been brought up a lot recently, like Philadelphia and the Red Wings, who could emerge as legit contenders to land Quinn Hughes if he's made available for trade, I still feel like the most likely outcome, if he does leave Vancouver, is that he ends up in New Jersey, as all 3 of the Hughes brothers have been pretty vocal about the fact that at some point in their careers, they want to all play together on the same NHL team, and that is something that the New Jersey Devils can offer Quinn Hughes that no other team in the league can. And really, the ball is in Quinn Hughes' court. His contract is up at the end of next season, and there's just not going to be a team out there that goes out and trades the kind of premium assets that it's going to take to land a player like Quinn Hughes if they don't believe they can get an extension done with him. So if he wants to go to New Jersey to play with his brothers, and New Jersey only, then that's where he's going to end up. On top of that, the Devils have the kind of assets as to where they can put together a very strong offer for Quinn Hughes like this one, including a guy like Mercer and Simon Nemec, who is a former second overall draft pick. Nemec is playing the best hockey of his NHL career right now. He's producing very well, despite the fact that he's playing third pairing minutes. It feels like it's only a matter of time before he blossoms into a legit star. And Dawson Mercer is also having a fantastic start to the season. 10 goals and 21 points for him through 27 games. Solid defensively, overall a really strong two-way forward who's still just 24 years old, who can also play center or the wing. In Vancouver, he would almost certainly be playing center, as that is a big position of need for them. If Quinn Hughes is in fact traded, whether it's to New Jersey or somewhere else, then I think this is exactly the kind of return we should expect Vancouver to get. 2 very promising young players and potentially 2 future first-round picks. Now, blockbuster trades like this do not happen very often in the NHL, so there's going to be a lot of people out there that say this is too much to give up. but I disagree. Quinn Hughes is in the conversation for being the best defenseman in the entire NHL. He's still just 26 years old. He is exactly the kind of player that you go out and you sell the farm for. And just from a marketing standpoint, could you imagine being the New Jersey Devils and having all three Hughes brothers on the same team? For the Vancouver Canucks, obviously in a perfect world, you want to keep Quinn Hughes. He's the captain. He's the best defenseman in franchise history already at just 26 years old. But given where the Canucks are at right now as an organization, and the fact that Quinn Hughes only has one more year left on his deal following this season, it really is starting to feel like the most likely outcome is that Quinn Hughes is traded. Because if you're Vancouver, you just absolutely cannot risk going into next season with Quinn Hughes on your roster without an extension in place. So for all of those reasons, I'm definitely going to go ahead and say deal to this mock trade. Moving on now to the next mock trade. This is more of a minor deal. Detroit gets McCarron. Detroit could use some more snarl. Nashville gets Berggren. He needs a fresh start. As a Red Wings fan, I'd be all for this. I do feel like the Red Wings are a bit too easy of a team to play against. Like, the only forwards on the team with more hits than Michael Brandsegg-Nygaard are Elmer Soderblom, Emmett Finney, and Marco Kasper. And the crazy part about that is Michael Brandsegg-Nygaard has only played in 9 games for the Red Wings this season, and he's been in the American Hockey League for well over a month now. So I definitely think the Red Wings could use a guy like McCarron in their bottom 6, and it's not like he's only just, a tough guy. He's decent defensively, and he's an alright penalty killer as well. He's also really cheap, has a capita of just $900,000 and is a UFA at the end of the season. And for Nashville, you'd be getting a guy in Berggren who's still just 25 years old, and the skill is definitely there. He's had stretches of play throughout his NHL career where he's been very good. Consistency has just been a big issue for him. He's never really been able to fully earn the trust of the Red Wings coaching staff, no matter who's been behind the bench. So I'm right there with you. I definitely think Berggren is a guy in need of a fresh start and a change of scenery. So I'm going to go ahead and say deal to this mock trade. I think it makes sense for both sides. Nashville adds a bit of skill, gets younger, and Detroit gets a decent depth rental in McCarron, who can add a bit of toughness to the lineup in exchange for a guy in Berggren, who I honestly feel like is just not going to end up being qualified by Detroit if he's still a Red Wing at the end of the season. I really feel like we're at that point. This next mock trade comes from Braden, who says Edmonton gets Joey Daccord, Seattle gets Stuart Skinner, Bo Akey, a 2027 second, and a 2028 third. It's no secret Edmonton needs an upgrade at the goaltending position, and Joey Daccord would definitely be an upgrade for them, but I just don't think Seattle would make this trade, so I'm going to say no deal here. Joey Daccord is in the first year of a 5-year, $25 million extension he signed with Seattle. He's been easily their most consistent goaltender over the last few seasons, and I think it's pretty clear Seattle wants to remain a relatively competitive team, and they don't just want to completely bottom out. So I just don't see a world where they'd consider trading their starter and leaving themselves with a tandem of Philip Grubauer and Matt Murray. And now finally, finishing up this episode with the final mock trade from Caden, who says to Pittsburgh, Stuart Skinner, a 2027 first, Matthias Janmark, and a 2026 third. In exchange, Edmonton receives Tristan Jarry, 25% retained, and defenseman Parker Wotherspoon. I definitely think this is a more realistic trade option for the Oilers to try and go out and upgrade their goaltending position. Tristan Jarry has been very good for the Penguins this season. Obviously, last season was a different story. He even spent some time in the American Hockey League. Certainly a guy who's had some consistency issues throughout his NHL career, but I feel like that's kind of the story with most goaltenders. It's such a hard position to predict, but I really do feel like the Oilers are in a spot right now where they're kind of desperate, and it's time to finally go out and just try and do something. And aside from Jarry, I think Parker Wotherspoon would be a really nice addition for the Oilers as well. He's been really good for the Penguins on the blue line this season. So in my opinion, this trade certainly makes sense for the Oilers and for the Penguins. If you were to tell Penguins fans that they would end up getting a first-round draft pick as part of a return for Tristan Jarry at this point last season, I think those Penguins fans would have said you are insane. So if it's possible for the Penguins to pull something like this off and cash in on Tristan Jarry while he's kind of rebuilt his value to start this season, I think they should. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off this video by saying deal to this mock trade. So that is going to wrap up the first NHL Deal or No Deal of the 2025-26 NHL season. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, huge shout out to every one of you who sent in a mock trade. And if you want to see another episode in the near future, then be sure to leave this video a like. It's the best way to let me know that you enjoyed, and it does help out the videos a ton. And most importantly, if this was your first time checking out the channel and you want more NHL content just like this all season long, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all again soon.